let's start. So hello and welcome to the Animation MA info session. My name is Ülo Pikhof and I'm the head of the department. First, I tell you shortly how we have planned it, and then let's see how it goes. The idea is first to introduce ourselves. Our project coordinator Liisa will introduce Estonian Academy of Arts and talk a little bit how it's to study here or in Estonia in general. Then I will talk a little bit about Animation MA curriculum. Sander, our head of animation studios, will talk a little bit about how technical possibilities and how is the filmmaking here is taking place. Our film project coordinator, Anu-Laura, will send us greetings from the forest and will tell a little bit in more general films, techniques, possibilities, agendas, what we are doing here. And to our students, Millie and Sofia, will tell about their experience in Estonian Academy of Arts. And then there will be questions. I say immediately that probably there are some specific questions that we can't answer immediately, but please, if you write your question to chat, write there also your email that we can answer by email. If the question is about some specific visa issues or coronavirus restriction or something, we maybe don't know the answer right now today, but we definitely will answer you. That please write your contact if you are not by your name or in this Zoom, that please leave with the question some email or some contacts we can answer later if there need. But let's start with Liisa. Liisa, the floor is yours, and please first introduce yourself and then tell us, or no, let's start with Estonian Academy of Art staff members introduction, but still, Liisa, you are the first, please.
Yes, hello, I'm one of the project coordinators here. I deal mostly with the distribution and representation of student films to festivals. So once you've made your film here, then I will make sure it gets safely to all the festivals and makes its rounds around the world. I will add my email address here actually in the chat. So if you do have questions, maybe it's easier if you just go ahead and if they're not answered, email to me and then I can direct you to the correct people. So yes, that's in chat if you guys need it. But also, yes, I was also a student, so I can talk a little bit about that, and I will when it gets to my part, but I'll let the next person introduce themselves.
So please, Anu-Laura.
Hi, my name is Anu-Laura Tuttelberg. I studied in the animation department and now I'm teaching. I'm teaching stop motion animation to bachelor students and also to those master students who are interested in that technique. And me and Liisa, we are project coordinators in the department. So this is one part of my job and the other one is teaching. And yes, so whatever questions you have about stop motion, I think maybe I am the person to answer. I think that's very shortly what I do there.
So please, Sander, show yourself.
Hi, I'm Sander, and I have been working as a freelancer for the last 10 years, mainly working in theaters as a video designer, sound designer, and for animations and films. And also I have been animator for a long time. And now I am head of our animation department studios. And my job is to give all of our students necessary tools for them to make their films. Yeah, thanks.
So thank you. But Liza, maybe now you continue with our academy and maybe also Estonia in general, how it's to study here.
Okay, let me share my. Okay, I can't share my screen, but that's okay. I can talk without the. You'll have to change the allow.
Okay, I will do it. Your go host.
Okay, so I actually am also, as you might be able to tell from my accent, I'm not Estonian. I mean, I'm half Estonian, but I've lived in America. And so I have also experienced coming to Estonia as a student, as a foreign student. So that's a bit of my background. I studied in bachelor's and I just finished really recently. And generally, I would say that Estonia is a very nice place to live in. Most people who come here do enjoy it here. I think someone's mic is on. Okay, cool. Anyways, so most people who move here do very much enjoy it. Tallinn is it's a nice, small, sort of compact city. It's easy to get around. It's not like, I don't know, London or Berlin, where it's very confusing to figure out where you're going. The people here are generally very nice, maybe a little bit quiet at first, but Estonians are, you know, once you become friends with them, they're very good, long-lasting friends. The only concerns you might have is the winters here are very long and dark and cold. And so if you're coming from a warm country where there's lots of sun, it might be quite a shock to you. It was for me as well. But I think once you're in school and you're mingling with others and you're talking to each other and hanging out and doing your work, you barely even notice it. At least that was the case for me. So now I can share my screen. Let's see if it shows. Nope. Sorry, we have a bit of a problem here. Okay, there's a problem with my computer, so I won't have the, unfortunately, maybe Ulo can show from his screen the presentation or some pictures. But just briefly about the department itself, the department has a focus on teaching you how to be a filmmaker from all aspects of filmmaking. So it's not just teaching you how to animate, it's teaching you how to create stories, how to do world building, how to actually animate, direct, write scripts. We try and take it from all aspects of filmmaking and make you a very well-rounded filmmaker, independent filmmaker. That's the kind of general philosophy and idea. So this, right now we are currently looking at the view from the school building. We recently got 3 years ago a new building for EKA. We used to be scattered around in various places, but now we finally have our own one large building. So it's very easy to intermingle with other departments as well. We have events and parties and things, less so now because of COVID, but still we try to mingle and meet people and integrate with each other. And I think EKA has a very good international sort of community. You meet people who have come from all over the world and can share experiences with each other and create really tight-knit sort of friend groups and sense of family. Next slide, let's see. Maybe, yes. Then back to our department. We also try to provide as many workshops and extracurricular activities as possible. Here are some pictures of this sand animating workshop, which is quite popular and we try to do every year. If you're not familiar with sand animating, then it is, well, it's animating with sand. It's a very interesting process and the films are always very beautiful at the end. Some workshops are also student-led. We have had a couple of students who took it to their own initiative to start up their own workshops or teach their own classes. Like this one, it was a very impromptu sort of drawing workshop where different various themes and prompts were given and the students had to quickly draw, and it was a very interesting exercise. So if you come here with any sort of ideas or things you want to do, then always be willing to talk to us, and we're more than excited to help bring any sort of extracurricular things to light. And this was, we also do some, we try to teach not only, so usually when you think of a director doesn't really deal with things such as maybe sound design or editing, but we try to teach those as well. And this is just some photos from a sound workshop, learning how to use the sound studio and how to record your own sounds for your films and such. So we try and cover all the bases so you're able to really make a complete film yourself with every little bit, or you can ask others for help. That's always, you know, welcome. Let's see what's next. Yes, and then recently we are also trying the best that we can to organize some travels also for the department. Recently we went to Animateka with the Animateka Film Festival with a small group of bachelor students. And before that, me and a fellow employee, Martinus, who teaches the bachelors, we went with a couple of master students to Fredrikstad Animation Festival. Of course, now travel is, you know, a little difficult to manage sometimes, but we're trying our best. And I think it's interesting to be able to see, you know, animation life outside of just the school, but how is it actually in the you know, the world of animation. Next slide. Yes, here's some more. If you want more specific information, this is also for later. You can go to our webpage, but also we have a Facebook if you're not yet following it, at EKA Animation. We also have an Instagram, which is eka.animation. But let me think, did I leave anything out? I think essentially that is it. Mostly our focus is on making sure we build you as a film director who is very well versed in all aspects of it. But of course, Ulo will talk more about the master's program specifically. I don't know if we want to do a tour, Ulo, or not.
Maybe a quick tour.
All right.
Yeah.
Everything's breaking.
Uh,
Join very quickly from my, actually it's probably easier just to take my laptop here. Okay, I'm in a room which currently has it's a catastrophe in here. We have a project ongoing. Sorry, bit of technical difficulty. Hear me now? We good? In here we have, we actually have two buildings. We have this department area, but we also have a studio way back there, but it's still very close to the building. The students will tell about it a little bit more, I think, but here's just a printer room. And in here we have some multiplanes. If you're interested in doing multiplane animation, we do have some here as well as the studio. In here, we have a very large, I don't know, it's arguable if it's large, but our workspace with the computers, where you can use any of these computers as much as you want. In here, we have Ulo in his office, in our office. This is where you can come find any of us if you have any questions. In here, we have like our little hanging rest area, which needs a little bit of remodeling, but it's a work in progress. And some extra spaces, well, you can't see, here to work if you need to work. And some that is in there, where you can find him in the back. And that's pretty much here it for the department. Like I said, we do have the separate building, which is specifically for puppet animation and stop motion, as well as some master's area workspaces. But yes, that's for me.
We're in the studio right now, the extra studio. So if they want to see these as well, we can bring them around at any time. So.
So I will tell a couple of words about curriculum. The Department of Animation was established at the Estonian Academy of Arts in 2006. And since 2007, it has offered a 2-year MA in animation curriculum. We currently have about 50 animation students. It's BA and the MA students together. And students can specialize here in specific animation techniques like drone animation, puppet film, cutout, mixed media, etc., and create individual project in their appropriate technique. Every student makes during the studies minimum 2 films, and one is the graduation film. They're gonna graduate, and it's so-called final film. But usually student makes during the workshops, during different subjects, more films, but minimum 2 films. After graduation, our students are qualified to realize themselves as animation film creators, professionals in creative industries, or individual artists. Students who have completed their master's program are also qualified to continue their studies and pursue their doctoral degree. The next admission period starts in February 2022, and the deadline for the international applicants is the 1st of March 2022. And the admission interviews will be held in March 2022, that quite soon. And for admission interview, it's basically informal conversation based on submitted materials, CV, portfolio, plan for master work, etc. But you will find all the information on our website. That who is interested, please have a look. But it's nothing complicated. That if you have worked previously in audiovisual field, you probably qualify to apply here. That we need your portfolio to see what you have done in the field, CV, and some plan for your MA. So I invite all of you to join our creative team and make the world more animated. That's all from me. But I give now floor to Anu Laura, who coordinates our film production, and she can tell a little bit more about the films and what we are here more concentrated, or what kind of films we are doing here. So please, Anu Laura.
I would say that in our department, we mainly focus on traditional techniques, stop motion animation and drone 2D animation. And everybody can actually choose their technique in the master program. So it can be any technique that you like to work with or that you want to experiment with. It can be, you know, painting animation, sand animation. It can also be some more computer-based animation. So you are free to choose your technique in the MA program. In the bachelor program, it's more focused on these traditional techniques that I mentioned.
It's basically more like author-based curriculum here.
Another thing I would like to say to the people who would like to study in the MA program is that you might be admitted without having done animation before, or without having the animation skills in your background. But then you should be prepared to educate yourself and also to be active in participating different workshops, because the study program is built up in a way that first you do the bachelor degree, where you can learn the basics of animation in the drone technique and in the stop motion technique. And then later you can enter the MA program and then you can choose your technique. You can also take other techniques except for these two and then make your films. But if you want to come to study in the MA program without having much experience in animation, you can do that. But you have to be prepared that you have to self-educate yourself and also participate in all the workshops that we offer, where you can learn animation techniques and that you would be able to technically also make your films. So this is something to consider. I myself also did the same. I used to study scenography and photography in bachelor studies, and then I entered this MA program without any animation background, and it was just more work, but it works. You know, you just have to invest more time and energy, and maybe also be prepared to take more than 2 years for finishing the program. I mean, that's how life turns out if you need to learn at the same time how to animate and how to build your sets or whatever technique you choose. It definitely takes a lot of time to make animation, and if you haven't done it before, it will take even more time. So be willing to do a lot of work. Yes, and I would say that in this department, what we teach is for the students to be directors. It's not so much focused on all the technical skills. Like, you can learn anything you want, but you have to be active, and you have to, if you want to become like a very good animator and go and work as an animator in some studio, you definitely can do that with this education, but then you have to put an effort in learning how to animate and to do all the exercises that you're given. But this is not the main goal here. It's not to educate these like technical workers for studios. It's for artistic animation directors. And yes, well, just to tell you that whatever expectations you have, that this is what you will receive. And you will have also a chance to, like Liza said, you have a chance to learn like how to do sound design, how to edit. All these things are available, and it's up to you, like how much you want to learn these things, how much you want to do your films alone, or how many people you want to involve. If you want to do cooperations with other creative people like sound designers and musicians, and you can choose to do that, or you can choose to make your own sound or edit your films. There's a good sound studio in the school outside of our department, but in the school. So you have a chance to do your own sound as well.
Maybe Vanu Laura, comment, where are you? Why you are not with us at the moment?
Well, I am also a filmmaker besides teacher, and I'm making my film at the moment. I myself make stop motion films, but not very normal stop motion films. My past films I have made in the nature. Commonly stop motion film is made in the studio, and this is how I started as well. I made my first film in the department of animation in Art Academy, and then after that I started to do a bit different films with natural light inside the studio, and then later I moved outside of the studio, like completely to the forest and to different locations. My last film was made in jungles and tropical rainforests. I made my puppets out of porcelain and silicone. I packed them in my backpack. I took an old 16mm film camera, and I went to the Amazon jungle and started shooting my film. And later I found also a production studio in Mexico, which helped me to finish my film in Mexico, in the rainforest. You can see that film on internet. Actually, it's available. It's called Winter in the Rainforest. And now I'm working on the second part of this film. which I'm shooting right now in the winter time in Estonia in a beach. So we have a long winter here with very long dark nights and very short snowy days. And I am shooting my film outside. So that means I need to work in the daylight. So my work days are at the moment from 9 to 3:30. This is how much light we have at this time. The rest of the time is completely black, dark as I don't know, the blackest of black. So be prepared for these winters here. But yes, so I'm making my film in the beach next to a forest. And I'm in a cabin right now next to a fireplace to keep warm. It's a summer house, so it's very cold here, but at the moment it's warm with the fire on. And I'm planning to spend my winter here shooting my film and sometimes visiting you guys in the school, teaching some classes. So see you soon.
So thank you. Anu Laura is really, really talented filmmaker, and which is nice that all the staff members, all the people who teach in department, they're active filmmakers, that they have their own career as well, and I think it's very good that they are like hands-on in filmmaking. But please, Sander, tell a little bit about technical side and possibilities as well. What expecting here if someone comes to study?
Hi, so roughly our studio divides into two parts. One is mainly drone animation, 2D and 3D computer graphics section, which happens in our computer class. It's full of Cintiq graphic tablets, which students can use when they are available, when they're not used for lessons. And then we have another section for 2D and 3D puppet films, everything from puppet stop motion to 2D puppets on 2D surfaces, multiplanes. Also, if a student needs, okay, but that doesn't mean that you have to choose between two worlds. We try to provide equipment and materials according to the film's idea. If a student wants to make a film in pixelations, we have to find a studio for them with big green screen, for example, or if they want to do like huge oversized giant puppets, then if the film idea is good, we can find a solution. If somebody wants to do an experimental film, we find the space and room for that too. But currently, yeah, we have our stop motion studio is equipped with a lot of lighting equipment, many cameras, many computers, and all the necessary tools to make like 2D and 3D puppet animations. And currently, I think there are like 5 films in the making in those studios currently. But as many students are generating their film ideas, we'll see how many of them will choose the puppet film as their graduation films, and then according to that, we try to find them space and equipment, and that's how we kind of design our studio according to the film's idea. So yeah, if the film idea is good, nothing should be really a problem, and that's my dream as a head of the studios. And I don't know what that is all for me.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So, and our students, Millie and Sophia, the idea is to show also the real students that they exist. And please be honest, tell how how does it feel, or how it works here?
Hey, can you guys hear us? Okay, great. So Millie and I, we both started at the, oh, well, I'm Sophia, this is Millie, and then this is Pepper. We both started in 2019, so this is our third year. Technically, the program is 2 years long, but it is a little difficult to make 2 animated films or even just 1 animated film in just 2 years. So oftentimes students will extend, that's an option. It can get a little tricky with immigration, but pretty much you can kind of stay an extra year if needed. So I'm going to be graduating this May, most likely. And I think maybe you as well, but you know, yeah. But yeah, my background is in more experimental film, and I'm kind of sticking with that here. And what are you working on?
My background more in painting, so I came to Estonia to make a well painted film, basically. That's why it's taking a bit more time.
Yeah. So all of us kind of have like a bunch of different kind of techniques that we're used to, and there's this kind of like sense of variety amongst the students, so you can oftentimes learn with each other, and there's not really any feeling of competition whatsoever. It's more sort of like a support system and people introducing you to different techniques you've never thought of, or different styles that can be inspiring. And so that's one of my more favorite things about going to school here, is just students in the program. Right now we are in one of the rooms in the extra building that has some of our studio spaces. So the department itself, like, it can fit some people, but it's very necessary for stop motion and anyone else really who's doing a kind of bigger project to have room like we have it available here. And students also just come in to kind of like work on their own projects, even if it's just like 2D drawn animation on a computer. They sometimes come in here and do that, and it kind of creates a nice sort of social vibe. One more thing we can talk about. Yeah, Liza was kind of mentioning some workshops, and Ulo as well. And those are very valuable things that have helped both of us out. For example, yeah, the sand animation workshop, I did one recently, and it was a short workshop, but it was very nice, just sort of get experience with the material. Even if you're kind of nearing the end of the program and finishing things up like I am, it's still good to sort of kind of keep your brain alive by kind of experiencing these different things the school offers to teach you, because it can get kind of intense near the end, but it's also, there's so much support, and not only the students but the faculty too. So like if you're really deep in your film and you're stuck, there's always going to be people who are there to sort of help you out. Same goes when you're kind of starting everything off, because it's kind of scary to start a film project if you hadn't done anything like that before. So basically when you start out, there's classes on kind of storyboard and like idea creation, and from there you kind of pick one you did in class that you like, or maybe something that's been in your mind for a few years, and then you can kind of just start going. And with the equipment provided and the space provided, it's a good jumping point.
A quick side note on the workshops. It's
Yeah.
just been sort of sand animation, and then we did experimental like film scratching.
Yeah.
There was an oil paint on glass workshop, and we also did a nice projection mapping workshop where we made 30 seconds of animation, and it got projected onto one of the large town hall buildings.
Yeah.
So these different workshops, they expand the way you understand animation and how animation means to you in a way,
Yeah.
which is quite inspiring.
For sure. Like, and it also, they teach you the different ways you can utilize it. Like, for example, the projection mapping one.
Yeah.
You know, I know that projection mapping is a thing, but to sort of like, for yourself, create something that is actually put onto this huge surface is like a really kind of inspiring feeling. I felt really important as an artist. So yeah, it was nice to go there. But yeah, there's all these random opportunities that will pop up to like do something that maybe back in your home country seems like something only available to like the top artists, you know, but like these opportunities are available here because there's a really great community and like good connections between alumni and other artists in other fields who are interested in working with animators. And so getting those opportunities is a great thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to add about the community. I forgot to mention earlier. In Tallinn, we actually have a very strong and tight-knit animation community. Like you don't just interact with people within the school, but you also interact very often with other animators who work here in Tallinn. So it's a good little place to start up like your sort of footing in the animation world and meet other artists and be able to talk to people who actually work in the field, what it's like and how to proceed and get ideas and stuff. So in that regard, I think Tallinn is like one of the best places to be when you're wanting to be a, you know, an independent filmmaker and animator.
Yeah, and a lot of these kind of connections are solidified through different events in the city that relate to animation. Because there's a lot of filmmakers here and two big animation studios like Jonas Film and Nuku Film. There's often premiere events or like screenings or anything of the sort. There's a couple of festivals too that screen animation. So through these events, you can meet and connect with people and form these relationships that are really instrumental to any sort of career or just your time as a student. And oftentimes, not only are these animators or these community people teaching classes, they're also available to be like a tutor or a mentor for your film. I think we both, have as our advisor for our thesis project, like animators and teachers who are working here in Tallinn. And it's great so far, like they're enthusiastic and like willing to help out, and yeah, so it's a really nice thing. Would you guys want to see some of the studio? We could also talk about anything else too that you think, there's also other students out there we can.
Yeah, maybe quickly show the studio.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. All right. Huh? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is one of the smaller rooms in the master's area. Right now, I think only a couple of people are working in here. Here's a half-assembled a skeleton of a multiplane. So this is a possible space if you're doing like kind of any kind of animation on glass or something that needs a camera. Here's where one student is sitting. And here's Millie's space. We can go outside. And here's one of the main rooms. Oh, say hello to 40-something people. That's Santiago. Here's Lucas. Yeah, and where's Aurelius? Okay, say hi. Yeah, so this is kind of a main kind of meeting room. So sometimes we'll do workshops here. Students can set up their computer here if they want. Or basically, if you just want to work somewhere, even on other projects, and kind of want to be with your fellow animators, this is a good place to do it. Yeah, we can show them this. Okay, and here is where I'm working right now. I think I have only 2 or 3 scenes left to shoot for my film, and then I'll be done shooting, which is really exciting. So this is kind of not a multi-plane, but you know, camera setup, and I have I'm shooting and like moving paper, different layers of paper. Yeah, so it's nice to have a space of my own, but also since I'm finishing soon, some other students who need it will be able to take over. And we can also show the other side too, where the bachelors are. Do you think just the master's space is okay?
Sure, if they're not shooting, then yeah, fine. Yeah. Try ahead.
Yeah, okay, let's see. Do you have your ID? Okay. Not ID, whatever that is. Card. Okay. I don't think anybody's shooting. Yeah.
They just doing like an EKA online meeting, which I think is space.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think you guys I see. Yeah.
We're bachelors and we're doing a puppet film
Yeah.
called in English Garbage Bowl.
Garbage bowl.
Yeah, Garbage Bowl.
Oh.
And yeah.
Yeah, so here's their set. Can you see it? My hair's not in the way, but it looks beautiful, guys, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh, where's
There's
the,
a puppet.
yeah, I don't want to knock anything over.
Her name is Putik and she collects garbage basically.
Ah,
She's a
cool.
climate activist.
She is, nice. We love that. Okay. Yeah. Is anybody in here? No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Doing an online EKA meeting.
Back to prospective students. Oh, here's another shooting space. Yeah, let's be careful. It's a little dark, but it's very beautiful. Ah, okay, this one's?
Yes.
Yep, so another kind of forest space here. These are bachelor students doing their puppet. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and then there's one more little area over here. I don't think it's being used right now, but this is where we did, that's the bathroom light. I don't know how to turn on the light here, so I won't show it. But there's more space over there, a couple more multi-planes. I don't know where Millie went. Oh, there. Oh, it wouldn't close. Okay. So yeah, that's our space right now, and it's serving us pretty well. There's not enough space for everyone to have their own individual desk for, oh, I just kicked the dog. Where everyone can have their computer, but like if that's something that's really important to you, it can definitely be arranged. Yeah, so it's the kind of thing where like ask for it and everyone will do their best to give it to you, and most of the time we can get what we really need. So
Thank you. It's perfect. Thank you. And as you see, it's really like hands-on curriculum. That the plan is to educate filmmakers, internationally successful filmmakers, who makes films which fly well on festival circle and yes. But basically, that's it from our side, what we planned. That it's, I hope to get some questions and let's see how it goes. That maybe we jump to the questions then.
We have a couple in chat, yeah.
Okay, but maybe Liza, you take the first one or take it over from here, the questions.
All right, sure. So first question is, how many students will you be accepting this year? And is there a restriction for the length of portfolio? And if it includes both video and images, which format should we use to upload it? Very technical questions.
Usually in the academy, there is rule that if there is less than 6 students, we don't open the course, and we don't take more than 10 to MA. That usually in MA there is 8, 9. Someone could drop out in the process. That usually, I would say 8 people will be taken for next year to MA course. And about portfolio, there is no any rules for format. The idea that it's possible to see, that it's some most common used. And of course, if you plan to send like 12 hours or some video footage, that it would be complicated to watch, that please choose the best. I wouldn't say the length or minutes or any numbers, but just to see it from our shoes, that send the best and what you think is worth to see it, or which describe your style, your ideas, your previous work, and send the links inside your portfolio.
Okay. Next question for the thesis section during our application. So the thesis is not a part of the application. The thesis will come later in your studying. That's kind of at the end of your study. Once you've, alongside making the film, you have to also write a thesis, which is essentially you exploring your film deeper, or some sort of aspect of filmmaking deeper. But as far as what is expected in the portfolio, it's it's any sort of previous work you've done which you think shows yourself as an artist, and your own your passions, and what you like to do, and what you're interested in doing. How many workshops will be offered? How many will be given in 2 years? I'd say there's at least one workshop every semester, right? At least. But often there's more. So I would count on, in the total of 2 years, you would have at the very least 4 workshops, but honestly yes, 4, I can't do math, but there's many opportunities, and there's things, you can also take workshops outside the department, classes outside the department. The EKA building is very open, so you're very free to not just stay within the department, the animation department. You can go take painting classes, or drawing classes, or glass blowing classes. So it's up to you, honestly, how many workshops you take.
Could I add on to the question about the thesis real quick?
Yeah.
I believe in the application, it does have a question about this, like, what do you plan to do? Or like, what would you want to write about? I think the prompt was like for the essay that you have to write about what you are interested in doing for your thesis and stuff. You're not going to be beholden to that. So I wrote something completely different for my application essay, and I'm writing something completely different for my actual thesis. But basically, that, like Liza said, that's an opportunity to sort of show who you are and what you're interested in. And that's kind of what I think the faculty wants to know, is like you as an artist, and like they want to see your style and your very specific niche weird obsessions. So yeah, show yourself off.
Yeah, so I haven't applied for masters before, so don't listen to me, I guess. But essentially, yeah, for the thesis part of the portfolio, you would have to essentially talk about what you're thinking of maybe doing. But again, like she said, you're not held to it directly. Okay, how many films can we upload to? Oh wait, here first. Are there any scholarships available for international students? I don't know the answer to this.
Yes, I believe so. I'm not the most knowledgeable on the subject. We can definitely email you, but just sort of what we know so far, there's a couple, 2 or 3 different scholarships. What was one of them?
Dora, there's a Dora, so it's like 350 euros.
Yeah.
There is a link in a chat about scholarship. The links, all the scholarship.
Okay, yes, you can see that. But there's a few that are quite helpful. So there's one that's a student is chosen in each department, and then there's another that's sort of more academic based. So if you're taking a lot of credits, you can kind of work out the way to get scholarship money through that. But yeah, definitely look at the link.
Okay. How many films can we upload to our portfolio? Is there a limit? Just don't make an hour-long portfolio, essentially. I mean, 5 short films maybe max, and but be selective, really show what you think is the best. There's not a requirement as to what a number of how much you have to put in. Just put in what you think is your best work. How many people apply for masters usually? At least 40, right? yeah, 40 to 50. There were 70 people interested in this info hour, so maybe there'll be 70 this year. It's hard to tell. Is the portfolio the only thing you'll be looking at? I believe there's also an interview. So after they look at the portfolio, there'll be an interview. Anything else?
The interview might be at a very odd hour for you. Mine was at midnight and yours was 3 a.m. If you're part of the country. It's kind of funny anyways. That's a talking point to start you off like, oh my gosh, it's 3 a.m. up here. And then maybe you're not nervous anymore.
That's funny. But do you need a cover letter or motivational letters or anything of this nature?
Basically, like you have your portfolio and then it is a motivation letter. It's the thing we were talking about earlier, like where you talk about your thesis ideas. It's kind of like an essay, but it's like 1 page-ish, I remember. Yeah, just kind of talking about your motivations to go there, like why this school and what you want to do. And that's, yeah, in the application thing, that's one of the prompts, so you just put it there. I hope that helps.
Okay. All right. I have a background in journalism and graphic design and do some videos, but not really a film. Will that be okay to show in the portfolio for animation, which is fiction storytelling? Yes, of course. Again, like we were saying before, not everyone who's joined the master's program has had background in animation, and you don't necessarily have to have made anything. And we're not only making fiction films either. If you want to make a documentary or something of this nature, that's completely, would be very interesting to do. Sophia, you want to say something?
Yeah, yeah, kind of to elaborate on the different backgrounds too. Like there are quite a few of us who have had animation experience and quite a few of us who haven't. Mine was quite minimal and I think yours, yeah, she studied in a year of animation before, but not much before that. And I had only done a couple, like 1 internship at a studio where I actually wasn't really animating. So yeah, it's just about bringing your personal experience and like offering an interesting point of view, because like everyone said, this is a program that teaches directors. So it's, yes, about like your style and skill, but it's almost a little more kind of, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a little more about your voice and what kind of ideas, like momentum, like what you're going to bring into your work, because really a concept story, whatever drives you is going to be a very important part of what you're doing. So if you just show your kind of uniqueness and point of view, I think that's enough of an edge too.
Yeah, like one of the new students is an architect who hasn't.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Very quickly, what other working opportunities come across as an animator other than being an independent filmmaker? We have a couple of studios here which you can try and get internships at. In general, I mean, what you can do as an animator is there's so many varieties. It would take forever for me to list them all out here. But there's internship programs that are available here in Tallinn. Are there exchange programs? There is. There's the Erasmus. So if you are interested in that, then I think on the website there should be more information about joining the Erasmus program and being able to take an exchange somewhere else. Is there any?
I just wanted to comment. There was recently a research because the department is more than 10 years old, that how many graduates work in the field. And most of them works in audiovisual field. And for example, one guy opened a tattoo studio in Berlin, and there was a discussion, is it still a moving image, or is it, how do you consider that it's, yes, basically we concentrate on film, on animated film, but of course there is like gaming, lot of side areas also students could touch, test to try that it's, yeah, not only the filmmaking, but that also all the animation areas is covered more or less here.
Is there any ceramic studios or workshops? Yes, we have a wonderful ceramic studio here in EKA with wonderful people there, and I very much encourage you to go and talk to them. They're very welcoming people, and we've had previous collaboration with them as well. How do MA students manage university and work life, and how does extending studies affect the study fees? I think maybe the second question is more important to answer quickly.
I can answer the second question. Oh, yeah. So basically, you don't pay full tuition on an extended year. So full tuition is around
1,200?
Yeah, 1,200 per semester, 1,200 euros. And when you extend, it's only like 350 per semester. So it goes down, but there is some sort of political stuff brewing that might make students, might force students to pay the government if they're extending their studies, but I don't know if it's passed. So that's something that's potential, but I don't know if it's actual, but something to look out for.
Okay. How do you manage university and work life? And then also we're going to tie that in with what are some possible employment options here, if you can. Oh, we can't hear you.
We have a student here who's working.
Okay.
Hey, Santiago, how do you manage work life and being a student? Work life.
Work life. As
Yeah.
being a student.
And
Hello,
being a
everyone.
student. Yeah.
Hey, hello. Well, it's kind of, well, because I'm working in a restaurant right now. And the restaurant is pretty empty because COVID. So I got my time to work on my projects and also working in a restaurant. So I'm working in that place and getting money for doing homework, which is nice.
Very good.
You can probably find something similar, kind of work it out. You know, people can be chill here if you look in the right places. You can get, there's gallery sitting jobs available within EKA and some other jobs that you can take within the school, but then you can likely find something that might work for you.
Yeah, restaurants and cafes and bars are always options. Like Sophia was saying, there's some opportunities within EKA, small jobs like that. I'm not sure about any more. I mean, I'm sure some studios every now and then a space frees up and they're looking for employees, like Joonis Film and Nuku Film every now and then. That would require more research. So does EKA provide student subscription for software services like Adobe, Cinema, Houdini, etc.? Yes, within our computer lab, we have all those, most of the programs you'd ever need.
So like
yes,
we have local licenses to use locally that covers like Adobe software also, but when you apply, when you get accepted to the school, you get also a university email, and many software companies provide great discounts, like Cinema 4D, the Maxon company with trap codes and other stuff, and you should also definitely check them out if you're interested in your personal subscription. But usually we have local licenses for in the house use only.
Yes. So yes, things can be found for you, and yes. As far as the thesis essay, should the it sounds the essay is similar to the thesis essay. Should the essay focus on the filmmaker's vision for the movie or the uniqueness quality of the research? Maybe both.
Yeah, both, like whatever you want or think is important. Like, you know, it's an official essay, but it's also like a way of introducing yourself. So it's not like the thesis essay in the sense that you don't have to research for this one. Just talk about what you're interested in, what kind of things you're interested in doing at EKA.
Yep. Is there an age limit? Not that I know of. You just have to have done bachelor's beforehand. That's really the only, as far as age or is required or experience. And can you get Erasmus on your extended year? I believe so. You can have it, you can take it even after you graduate. There's like a 1 year like period or something in which you can still go do Erasmus. So before graduation and 1 year after graduation, even if you're doing an extended year or a gap year or something like that, you can go to Erasmus. Okay, that's all of the questions in chat so far. Did I miss anything, or does anybody have anything extra? Okay.
You missed one question.
Yes.
One
It
question.
was about darkness.
How do you adjust?
Oh yes, the darkness. Oh yes. So for my personal experience, the first year was very hard, and I won't even lie about that. I was miserable, but that was also because I had nothing going on in my life. But as soon as I started school that next year, it was like I barely even noticed that it was there. I think it's just because you're inside a building where there's light all the time and there's people. So I think like it could be inspirational for films, of course, depending on how you take it and how connected you are to your films and feelings and everything like that. My film wasn't very much related to that at all, but essentially, yeah, it's if you keep busy and you work on stuff and you're enthusiastic, I think the winter is really no problem. I say that, but yeah.
I think it's a really nice place to grow your internal world because it's cold and it's dark and you want to retreat inside yourself in a really kind of poetic and beautiful way.
Yeah, a lot of inner work is going to be done. You're going to process a lot of different things in the winter here, and maybe gain some maturity as a person from all the new insight.
And you feel the seasons, you really feel the seasons.
Oh,
too.
absolutely. The seasons are beautiful. And in the summer, to contrast the dark winter, you have light and the whole evening, the whole night, you know, it's a beautiful feeling. And then you're just gonna be riding bikes at 3 a.m. and you can see everything and you go swim in the lake, you know. I don't know, it's nice.
I think, yeah, it's really just about embracing it. All right, do you know, okay, as far as the pre-production of stop motion animation, do you do everything on your own regarding the pre-production? I'm thinking of building the puppets, building the set, choosing the proper equipment. Or is it a possibility to ask for help when it comes to all of this? Yes and yes, so it's up to you. If you want to do it all by yourself, you're completely welcome to. If you want help, help will be found. You're not, you know, alone here to suffer by yourself if that's the case. I mean, we'll help as much as you can, and Anu Laura can talk more about that.
I would like to say that yes, you can do everything on your own. You can build your puppets, your sets, all of that. And if you don't want to do everything on your own, you can find other students to who help you. But of course, I mean, you cannot like hire people by the school, you know, like we will not hire people for your team, but you are allowed to find help for your films. Yeah.
Yes.
And regarding the film stock, like film stock is quite expensive. So if you want to experiment with that, I don't know, we can like quite provide that. But if you know the idea is good and we see that there's the point to it, then of course we'll try to support this idea somehow. But yeah, like we don't do 35mm usually these days anymore. It's really hard to do. But if it's yeah.
I happen to work with film stock. I'm shooting on 16mm, which is a lot cheaper than 35mm. And also we have Lucia, a Croatian animator who works with 8mm. So, and Ulo, he has done a lot of scratching on film. So we do kind of work with film stock, but it's not a very common practice nowadays. So I don't know. I mean, if you want to work with film, probably the university can support a little bit, but if it's going to be like very, very expensive, then maybe you will have to also contribute yourself. But for me, working with 16mm for animation is not so impossible, because in animation you know, every little frame is a lot of work, so you don't spend so much film at all. like just a few spools. So it's not so out of the reach of a student even. I mean, just like one spool of 60mm film costs like 50 euros or something. So it's not so very horrible. But 35mm is more expensive, but I don't work with that. So I cannot tell you immediately what it would be like.
The short answer that yes, it's possible that that of course it depends, but we can apply or go work with some studios or other companies, or we do also some co-work that it's we don't say no like in this phase.
And also for the scanning, there's a good opportunity for scanning in the film archive. It's they have a very good scanner and it's cheap to buy this service from them. So that's a good opportunity.
Okay, yes. So basically we will help the best we can, but of course we have limitations, but we will try and work around them. As far as the thesis, because there's still confusion on it, from what I understand, the thesis essay is essentially you presenting what your thesis possibly could be. So what are you thinking of doing in the program? Because we don't want you to just come with no ideas and kind of just float around not knowing what you're doing. So the thesis essay for your portfolio is essentially your starting point. And for us to understand kind of what you're thinking about making, what sort of films you might be making in the future, this sort of thing. So the thesis essay, I suppose you write it as if you're writing a thesis. It's like a little rough, very first draft, which then later either you continue with or you don't. You would talk to Ulo about this throughout your master's program and develop your thesis further, change it, things of this nature. But for the portfolio, we just need a starting point so that we can have an idea of generally what you might be making, right?
Yes, exactly. It's more like a starting point for interview to understand how you see things, what you are interested, what you are planning to do here.
Yeah.
But it's not the thesis. It's just the idea about what you are planning to do here.
Yeah, so don't leave it blank. We definitely need it. I intend to launch my animated series. Would it be possible to utilize the master's graduation movie to make a finished pilot and create an animatic of the pilot short as the project of the year one? Why not? Why not? Again, we don't have really any boundaries here, or things where we will refuse you to do. If it's a good enough idea and you are really going with it and we like it, then of course. Is there an application deadline other than the one in February?
The deadline is 1st of March. It starts in February and it ends with February.
Okay, so starting in February, start submitting. 1st of March is the absolute last day you can submit. I haven't done any films of my own, but worked as a motion designer for events and done some animation projects of my own. Do I have a chance? Yes, of course. If you have good projects and good ideas and you seem enthusiastic, of course you have a chance. How is it with the school fee? Do you have to pay it all at once, or can you have like 5 pays over the year? I believe you can separate it. Maybe Millie and Sophia know more.
I don't know about that, but there's probably like some financial office you can definitely talk to about arranging payments. I'm sure they'll be accommodating.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
There is also a link about payments. There is in the chat.
Very good. About the analog film possibility, do you have a laboratory to work on the film and develop it? We don't in the department, but the school does in the photography department. So again, you're able to collaborate with any other department. Just you'll have to use your own initiative, and we will help, of course, to organize things of that nature. Is there any possible? Yeah.
That room's really beautiful.
There's a dark room, you can do classes there. And it's kind of going the theme of like good things will come if you go and take them. So
is there any possibility to collaborate with students from other bachelor's or master's in their projects and vice versa. Absolutely. Collaboration is very much encouraged and we love it. And we try and integrate the bachelor's and master's as much as we can. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes one group is quieter than the other and not as social, but like we honestly, we try our best to integrate each other. And I think that it creates more of a better atmosphere when masters aren't just, the masters and the bachelors are just the masters. So, but also it takes a bit of your own initiative to go and integrate and talk to people. Is it possible to have co-production in master's degree film if the budget is from another country?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, yes.
And it can be much bigger and used with some hired people and some students have applied also some extra funding and it's totally used on a film. And it was long time ago, but when I graduated, I also applied and I got some extra money and I could do it in a studio.
Okay. All right. Again, that is all the questions. Are there any last biters? If not, we might want to wrap up here soon and I will give my email once again. Just let me write it correctly. Right here. So if there's anything that wasn't answered here or you need more details on or you think of later on, feel free to email me. I don't have obviously all the answers, but I know people who have answers. So I will try and direct you to all the correct information. Otherwise, I'm glad to see that there are so many people interested. It's always exciting to get new blood here in the department. So I'm looking forward to seeing and meeting new people once you've been accepted, all that.
Yes, and I also say thank you to everybody that please apply here. Let's make the world more animated and it's a nice place to work. It's, I suppose, nice place to study. For example, tonight, we have to go soon. In fact, our students made a festival. It's the first time. It's 22 hours film festival. There was a challenge that you
72, Ülo, 72 hour.
72, sorry. You see, I'm becoming old. That they have been working here constantly in very short time, made their films, and now there will be premiere of these films and also a voting system from the audience that you will get the best film and some award ceremony, and it will start soon. That there is also quite active social life filmmaking in the evenings as well, and this, come here. It's a nice place to study.
It really is. Can't wait to meet you. Oh, Pepper says apply. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then I guess that's it. And we'll say goodbye and everyone have a good, whatever time of the day it is for you, and hope to see you soon.
Okay. And yeah.
And
Thank
again,
you.
email me if you need anything. All right.
Bye.
Bye.